Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I'm doing another update video because Blizzard has just announced a huge amount of news, probably the biggest news I can remember in Hearthstone. I really love how the team's operating at the moment, just change after change after change, some really fun interesting stuff. We're all getting a free golden legendary, which is Snip Snap, as you can see on the right, SN1P, SN4P. I'm going to call him Snip Snap, I think that's the idea, but he's a mech. So why are Blizzard doing this? Well, I don't know, but I'm going to take you through the changes. So let's, it's 4 AM here, guys. I thought I had to make the video. So I'm going to do it a little bit differently to normal, and we'll go through their release on the website. But basically, Blizzard is doing a Rise of the Mech event. So on June the 3rd, between June the 3rd and July the 1st, all you need to do is log in and you will get Snip Snap for free. A golden copy of that legendary for free. It's a new card that's being added into the game. Now, I never known Blizzard to do this, to just release a new card outside of classic set changes in the middle of an expansion, but they're doing it now. And this is a mech, and everything I'm talking about today is all themed around mechs and the Boomsday project. So this officially is a Boomsday project card, which means it's part of the Boomsday set. So when Boomsday rotates out, this will also rotate out. So it's not going to be in the game for the full length of time that normal cards are, but still, we're all getting in for free, and it's pretty awesome. It has the effect of Magnetic, Echo, Death Rattle, summon 2/1/1 microbots. So it's a 3 mana 2/3 that you can play 3 times if you've got 9 mana. Summons 2/1/1 microbots. It's a really good card. Especially with the Magnetic, it just makes it really powerful because we know Magnetic on mechs is awesome. It gives you that charge effect if you've already got a mech on the board. So this is a great legendary. I think people are going to be playing this. So this isn't the main news though. The big news is that Blizzard is buffing cards. There are going to be a bunch of cards from the Boomsday set that are going to be buffed, which they've never done before. As far as I know, I'm pretty certain they've never buffed the card before. All they've ever done before is nerfs. So let's take a look at those. So they've also written a note that if you miss the event, so if you don't log in between June the 3rd and July the 1st, then you can craft it for 1600 dust. But just make sure you log in because that's all you need to do. So they're going to be making card changes. I'll go through all of them. And they're all from the Boomsday project. They're taking 2 cards from each class and buffing them. So they were weaker cards that they want to see more play. And I think this is a fantastic idea. I've said this before. The Boomsday project was very disappointing in terms of its power level. After the rotation, still quite a few Boomsday cards which aren't really seeing a lot of play. And Blizzard has just said that in this paragraph here, they're just talking about their aim is just to make the meta more interesting cards for us to play, and just shake up everything. And I think that's something that they're really going to do. So let's take a look at the card changes. The first one being a Druid. Now, Druid has got Gloop Sprayer, 7 mana down from 8. So it used to be an 8 mana 4/4, summon a copy of each adjacent minion, and now it's a 7 mana 4/4. Now, some of you might not have even seen this card before or even remember it. It has seen some play recently with the Lucent Bark, which the Heal Druid deck. And Lucent Bark Heal Druid was kind of close to being playable. It's pretty okay. So this is definitely a buff to that sort of deck. And I definitely expect that to see some more play. Mulch Muncher. Again, when this was announced, people kind of considered this to be quite an impressive card. I mean, it's a any card you can discount in Hearthstone, you should be a bit wary of. And this one has Rush, so you could potentially have a 0 mana 8/8 with Rush, and you can see how powerful that is. We know how powerful the Giants are. Well, this is going down from 10 to 9 mana, and that's pretty impressive. It's not a huge buff, but I think this hasn't seen a lot of play because Treants haven't really been a big thing for Druid. But now with the nerfs to Rogue, maybe we'll see some more Druid archetypes, and maybe we'll see a Treant Druid come into it, and then Mulch Muncher some more play as well. But not a huge nerf, but it, making it 1 mana cheaper could be useful. Moving on to Hunter, and these two are quite big ones. So Necromechanic is a 5 mana 3/6 minion. your death rattles trigger twice. So that's a really powerful effect. So it's a bit of a surprise that it's never seen play, but it's just too slow and too expensive to play with your other death rattles. Well, now this is a 4 mana 3/6. Your death rattles trigger twice. So it has exactly the same stats as Howlmaster Shore, and Howlmaster Shore is an excellent legendary. I would still say Howlmaster Shore is better than this card, but if you're playing a death rattle deck, then you can play this card, because even if you've got no death rattles on the board, a 4 mana 3/6 is just interesting to play. So, and good stats to put on the board. So, yeah, another good card. We know that Mech Hunter is quite good at the moment, and there's a few death rattles in there, particularly Spider Bomb, but there's Fireworks Tech as well, which is an excellent, excellent card. Just hasn't seen a lot of play. Also, Oblivitron. So, yeah, we could see some death rattle Mech Hunter coming into play. Next is Flark's Boomzooka, which is such an interesting card, but it's always just been terrible, to be honest. I did play a deck once with it, but what it does, it summons 3 minions from your deck, then they attack enemy minions, and then they die. So really what you want to be doing is you want to be pulling out death rattle minions, because then you get to rush them in, and you also get the death rattle effects. So they're changing this from 8 mana to 7 mana. Again, I don't see this as a huge change. Just a one mana extra. Is it really going to make you want to still play this card? Maybe. I mean, it's better than it was, but I still don't see this as being anything particularly good. Next is Mage, and they're getting some cool changes. So, Unexpected Results. It's a 4 mana card, an epic card. Summon 2 random 2-cost minions, and it's improved by spell damage. And what that means is if you have extra spell damage, you will summon extra cost minions. So, spell damage +1 on the board, you would summon 3-cost minions. If it's spell damage just +2, you would summon 4-cost minions. So there's potential to scale that. And then, I was about to say nerf. They're buffing it from 4 mana to 3 mana. A huge change. A 1 mana difference on a 4 mana card is pretty huge. So this could be pretty good. There's a couple of good spell damage cards. Spellzerker is a neutral one, but Mage itself does have some pretty good spell damage cards, which came with the set of the Boomsday as well. So they probably wanted this to see more play, and it really doesn't. I mean, this is not played in any decks at the moment, but with the Celestial Emissary, I think it's called, there's some good cards that can work with this, and maybe at 3 mana it will see some good play. Luna's Pocket Galaxy, this one I'm quite excited about. Luna's Pocket Galaxy, a great card, fun card, 7 mana, useless. You can't spend 7 mana to reduce the cost of your minions in your deck to 1. It's just too expensive. The only time you would ever play this is if you discovered it randomly and there was just specific situations where you could play it. Now it's been buffed to 5 mana. I still don't think it's very good. 5 mana is still a lot of mana to spend just to do nothing. That turn that you play it, but this definitely gives it the opportunity to be a cool card. I mean, if you play this with Stargazer Luna herself, yes, you can draw a lot of cards. There's a lot of low-cost spells in Mage now, so the current Cyclone Mage that you see with the Mana Cyclone, that has quite a bit of card draw with Luna and other cards that are in there as well. So maybe you can mix in Luna's Pocket Galaxy and get some cheap minions, maybe get a 1 mana Calicos, a 1 mana Janalai. So there's loads of cool options, and I'm really looking forward to trying that. Next up is Paladin, and Paladin is getting a change to Christology, which is 2 mana, draw 2 1-attack minions from your deck, and it's changing to 1 mana. 1 mana, draw 2 cards is insane. This is very strong. The downside, of course, is it only draws 1-attack minions. Now, this is obviously aimed at the Immortal Prelate type deck, which is a 1-attack, 3 health minion. There's also Crystalsmith Kangor, Acolyte of Pain. There's quite a few good 1-attack minions you could use. So yes, if you're playing a Prelate type deck or any other deck that could make use of this, huge buff. Glowstone Technician, Battlecry, give your minions in your hand +2/+2. It was a 6 mana 3/4. It was useless. Hand buff mechanics are very slow, and when you have a 6 mana card, which will take up most, if not all, of your turn, and only a 3/4 body, it's too slow. Now it's going to be a 5 mana 3/4. I still think that's very slow, but with the addition of Dragon Speaker, which we've seen introduced in Rise of Shadows, maybe this could be a bit of a buff to a Dragon Paladin deck, because if you buff all the dragons +3/+3 with a Dragon Speaker, and you manage to get all the minions in your hand +2/+2 with a Glowstone Technician, it could be good. It is very slow, and decks like Tempo Rogue just mean you can't play decks like this because Tempo Rogue's just far too fast, and if you're playing on 5 mana this, you're dead. So with Tempo Rogue rotating out, maybe we'll see some more buff Paladin in the meta. I hope so. Next is a buff to priest cards, Extra Arms. A really interesting card, Extra Arms, because I like buff mechanics, and this one with the 3 mana card actually is very useful. Give a minion +2/+2, and then it adds another one. It's like Twin Spell basically. It adds another one back to you that can do 2/2 again. This is being nerfed from 3 mana to 2 mana. That is a huge buff to this card because you get to do it twice. So you're saving 2 mana across 2 turns or 2 uses of this card. And this could be something that could help priests early game, because again, in the current Rise of Shadows meta, priest is finding it very difficult to play because they don't have much to do in the early game. And rogues and other aggro decks can just rush them down. Well, Extra Arms maybe could be a good option for them. It could work quite well in the Silence Priest. If you're already putting down big minions, you can and then buff them a bit more and just snowball that way. So Extra Arms, cool buff. Cloning Device is a bit less exciting. Discover a copy of a minion in your opponent's deck. Nerf buffed again down to 1 mana. So a big buff for this card, but it's still a very strange card that I'm not sure we'll see a lot of play. Discover a copy of a minion in your opponent's deck. It's pretty awesome though. I do like Thief Priest type decks. There isn't really a good one right now, but maybe this can help. Moving on to Rogue, Pogo Hopper. A buff to Pogo Hopper. So they introduced a bunch of cards to make a Pogo Hopper deck viable, like Tack Whisker, for example, could be a good addition to that deck. But it really, in Rise of Shadows, again, was too slow and it didn't see a lot of play. This buff, I don't think is... I mean, it's a big buff to the card. Again, a 1 mana discount. I just don't think it's that big in respect to Pogo Hopper itself, because the 2 mana cost was never the issue of Pogo Hoppers. It was playing the Pogo Hopper was never an issue. It was the fact that it took you too long to play enough of them. 1 mana is going to help, absolutely. It's going to buff it. I don't know whether it's going to be enough to make the deck completely viable in the meta, but maybe we don't want Pogo Hopper to be a tier 1 deck, more of just a meme fun deck. Still a cool one. I'm looking forward to trying that out. Violet Haze is another rogue card. Add 2 random Death Rattle cards to your hand. Down from 3 mana to 2. At 3 mana, it's just too expensive. 2 mana, maybe it still is too expensive. If you're playing a Death Rattle rogue deck, this makes it more useful. It's 2 mana, draw 2 cards, but it's random Death Rattles, so they could be terrible. They could be very good. So you never know with these sort of card generation cards. But at 2 mana, I think it could see some play. Shaman, Stormbringer's going down from 7 mana to 6 mana. This one, I think Stormbringer was actually playable at 7. You could build quite big tokens in Shaman. It's not very difficult to do that with Murlocs or with your totems, and then you play Stormbringer. So making it 6 mana makes this a very playable card in my opinion. It's very random. It's not the sort of card that you would have in a top tier deck because it's too random, but in a fun tier 2, tier 3 deck, you could put a Stormbringer in there and make some good use of it in Shaman. This one's pretty huge. Thunderhead buff. I mean, Thunderhead is not a card which I think needs a buff. It's a 4 mana 3/5. After you play a card with Overload, summon 2 1/1 Sparks with Rush. An excellent card as it is. It's a very powerful card in decks that use it. Not many do, but if you do use it, it's very powerful. Well, now it's a 4 mana 3/6. So this card is excellent. And it helps to create those tokens I was talking about that maybe you could use with the Stormbringer. Warlock next, and Warlock needs a buff. They're not in a good position right now. This doesn't really help in that regard. I think we're going to have to wait till the next expansion till people start playing Warlock again. But Spirit Bomb, deal 4 damage to a minion and your hero was 2 mana. Now it's 1 mana. Great. 1 mana, deal 4 damage is excellent. Warrior does have that with Devastate, which is the card that came in Rastakhan. That was deal 4 damage to a damaged minion. So 1 mana, deal 4 damage to a minion and a hero, great, but Warlock doesn't have enough healing. So at the moment, I think until we see another expansion, I don't think we'll see much Warlock. Dr. Morrigan if there's ever one card in Hearthstone that needs a buff, it's Dr. Morrigan. It's terrible at 8 mana. It's a bit more viable now with Fellord Betrug because if you've got Betrug on the board, you play Pot Twist, Morrigan comes out, you rush it in, it dies, and then swaps with another minion in your deck, which doesn't die and stays on the turn. So it does work in that Plot Twist deck. So it's going down from 8 mana to 6 mana. Pretty good. Warrior. Now, Warrior doesn't need buffs to these mechs, if I'm being honest, because Dr. Boom didn't get nerfed. A lot of people were disappointed that Dr. Boom didn't get nerfed. I'm a little bit disappointed in that too. The reason I'm not outraged that they didn't nerf Dr. Boom is because I think with Rogue disappearing, I think we'll see less Warriors. It remains to be seen whether that's true or not. But so Security Rover going from 6 mana 2/5 to a 6 mana 2/6. This is just a good buff. I mean, 1 extra health is good on any minion. On this minion, it means a little bit more because every time it takes damage, it summons a 2/3 mech with taunt. So it's good. And this was always a card which would usually survive the turn you play it. So it's quite a good card to magnetic to. So having the extra health is really nice. And then Beryllium Nullifier. This has potential to be a really dangerous card in the meta because it's magnetic and it can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. So often this never gets put in a deck. It always gets discovered off a Mega Assembly or Dr. Boom's hero power. And it's being buffed to have 4 attack instead of 3 attack. I don't really think the attack was an issue with this card. I think it was the cost. So the attack, I see this more as just being a nice buff. I'm not sure people will start playing it. But it does have that potential. If you've got this on the board, it's only really a Mega Devastators that can get rid of it because it can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. And because it's a mech itself, you can keep magneticking to it and just keep buffing this minion and going up and up and up. So, man, that is all of the buffs that they're announcing. You'll have to let me know what you think, guys, in the comments because I am shocked. I did not expect this at all, especially after they just announced the nerfs. So one more thing to say is this isn't coming until June the 3rd, and the event lasts until July the 1st, but all of these buffs to these cards are permanent. So they're all part of the Boomsday project set. They will remain at these costs until they rotate out, unless Blizzard nerfs them or buffs them again, maybe. I don't know. But man, some huge news. I can't believe it. And everyone's getting a golden legendary as well, which I'm pretty excited about. Final thing, they mentioned what the next arena sets are going to be. There's going to be Classic, Basic, Goblins vs Gnomes, Grand Tournament, Karazhan, Boomsday Project, and Rise of Shadows. I don't play a lot of arena, so I don't have much of an opinion on that, but I really like that they're changing up the sets in arena. It just creates a nice kind of additional option for arena. Okay guys, I need to go to bed because it's gone 4 AM now, but thanks for watching the video. Please let me know what you think in the comments. This again is pretty awesome. If you've got these cards in your collection, then you get a buff. So obviously no one's getting dust refunds on these because they're not being nerfed, they're being buffed. But wow, huge news. I can't wait to see how this impacts the game.